You know what would help? Oh, fuck you, Bob. I didn't even hit record. So you know what? We're gonna roll with this because we got recording there, so now we got sound
All
on
right.
here. It's okay. I'm not gonna make us roll it back.
I was wondering what that button you just pressed and
Yeah.
lit up was.
I looked down and I saw green, and green means like.
Don't
his
forget,
stuff.
I come from a show where there's no editing.
So
Every screw up, every is caught live and it's there forever.
And maybe that's one reason I haven't done a live cast yet, because I'm always like, oh, Rem's gonna do he's gonna do something where he hits something. Like, even though these are really high quality, these are still sensitive too. Like
I'm trying very hard not to touch it and stay in my my fist rule.
But what he does is, this is my favorite. He's right-handed, and he will put if he gets a coffee, he puts it right there.
Oh, man.
And I'll literally be like, so
it's like he's setting him up. He wants it. He wants the trouble.
Are you just trying to fuck with me right now? All right. Sorry. So we have multiple takes again, but again, welcome back everyone to the Zennial Odyssey podcast.
I just touched it. Yep.
It's all right. We're rolling with it. This is learning. This is helping you learn. But for anyone who doesn't know, this is Mike Snelgrove. Mike Snelgrove is a super fan of the podcast, and he also has a podcast of his own called The Probably Wrong Podcast.
Yeah, we're more often that we've found we're actually right, so
tell us. So if you could tell us a little bit about The Probably Wrong Podcast.
It's just a group of guys getting away from normal everyday life, sitting and enjoying talking sports, and we try to break into some other little topics here and there, and we try to basically cross all sports and not just Boston-based sports, but we are here, so it's always the hot topic with everybody, and there's enough crap every day on the radio to talk about.
And I appreciate you and I talked about it before we came on the show, and you even said that you want a dedicated place to record. But one of my favorite things is is Tony's house the main place? Is that his house?
Yeah.
Okay, so like the backdrop is like his living room, and which is really nice.
Every once in a while you see the cats, and every once in a while you see them fall off.
I do, but I do like that. But I don't like that as much as when I know it's at your home, because you just have the wall of sneakers, and I think I'm like wow. And I'm at when I do listen, because one thing that is challenging, again, one thing I talked about on the 15-minute episode I did, was that one thing I'm getting used to is, for example, my job sometimes sends me to the other part of the state.
Yeah.
And so when I get home and I'm just like, I don't want to do shit.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to adjust to that. But when I do watch and I know it's at your house, and I'm literally, while I'm listening, I'm like, all right, where are all the Jordans? Okay. Yeah. All right. And I'm trying to pick out every single shoe, because there are lots of shoes in here.
That's why I loved it in the beginning. Before Justin joined us, he would always ask what shoes I'm wearing. And that used to be like my favorite little part. I used to pull them off my feet and bring them up and talk about them for a minute. So, now he's on the show. He doesn't do that anymore. I got to tell him.
What does he add? As far so it's a sports, it's a sports centric show with sometimes venturing outside of sports.
So Tony and I started the show because we loved it, the fact that we could talk sports forever, we could disagree, and it was a common ground disagreement. But then when we started the show, we started to realize we agree a lot. This is not what we wanted, and Justin doesn't agree. So he adds the other voice.
I like how Justin, because he does it with like the way I would probably do it. If I don't agree with something, it doesn't mean I have to be like a bear about it. It's just like
but there are some episodes you see us go back and forth.
I do. There was the one. I forget exactly which player. It was a Red Sox player. You guys
Trevor Story.
It was
Trevor Story.
That was a pretty. I was like, and then you look over at Tony and he's like,
he just lets us go, so it's just good, But I know, and sometimes when I want to get him fired up, I can go to Trevor Story, I can go to Patrice Bergeron, and really get under his skin. And I like it because it adds that little flair to the show. I try all the time to get Tony fired up, but it's very difficult,
Yeah, I would say for me, my outlet when it comes to sports is Bleacher Report. Number one, I've followed Bleacher Report for over a decade, and it's nowhere near as great as when it first came out. It's pretty rough now, and now that they have the issue, I don't know, you know the issue with Twitter. You notice if you go on Bleacher Report, there's no more tweets.
Oh, I never even paid attention to that. The only reason I know Bleacher Report is because I have all the push notifications, so it pops up with everything.
So Twitter said they were going to start charging them. So they were like, okay, forget that. And so I go into the communities a lot, and a lot of people are pissed off because they're like, it was a great place that just centrally located sports analysts and reporters' tweets about things. So what's the point in being here? And I go, that's a valid point.
Valid point.
Because I don't lie. I go into the community, especially local sports communities, and I troll the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Because the delusions are ridiculous.
And that's whatever grew me into the reason I hated the Patriots was because I could get under everybody's skin.
And it's easy to get under a Patriots. It's so easy.
It's-
As a Patriots fan.
Yeah.
And that's why I do it too, because I'm like, it's so easy.
You know, and in the quiet of my house, you know, I watch the games with my wife and my cousin. We sit and watch every game. But, you know, for years, I'm like, it's just so easy because these people just they wear it on their sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I agree.
And I could just troll. And I do that to Justin a lot, too, when I find something that he's really passionate about. You know, I'm just...
Do you know what's a big thing right now that really gets the backs up of Patriots fans on Bleacher Report up? Is when someone like me, who's just a realist, who's like, so are we just keeping Bill Belichick around so we can pass Don Shula? So he can get that record, put it on his boat, get a restaurant, whoop-de-fucking-do.
Yeah,
the team is like, it is terrible right now. And all the people, well, he's earned the right. I'm like, no, he wouldn't extend that same right to his players. Why should it be extended to him?
Yep. I agree with you, but it's funny with that. I see both sides of it because I agree. What you're not doing to him what he's preached for years. But on the flip side is I kind of feel he's earned a year or two, maybe even 3 years of mediocrity before you get rid of him.
I'll give you that.
He's got so many. It's just, I get it. You get frustrated with them, and the way the NFL goes, you have 1 or 2 losing seasons, they're gone. But these guys aren't established.
No.
You know,
No,
you got
right.
a guy with this many rings. You got to give someone like that the chance, like or Pete Carroll, like the chance to turn the ship around.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Last year, and by the way, last year to me is that like, okay, that's your first year out because that was about as bad as it gets.
Yeah, and I think this year, now that you got your Bill O'Brien, you got a little bit of a coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
You're starting to add so-called weapons. You know, you should see an improvement.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. We had a defensive coordinator, I guess, calling plays.
Every week, it was just, I'm like, those two bumbling idiots, and it's
Joe
it's
Judge.
infuriating. Yeah,
Joe
and,
Judge.
and the fact that he's still there, it drives me crazy.
If anyone wants, and yes, everyone, this episode's going to be sports heavy, but if anyone wants any idea of what kind of caliber of a coach Joe Judge is, look at Daniel Jones for the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Look at how he was his rookie year.
Yep.
And then look at the 2 years he had with him, and now last year with Brian Daboll.
Yeah.
And beyond that, look what Brian Daboll did with that team.
Yep. And I said, so going back to the beginning of our show, Tony and I talking back in before the NFL season, you know, he was, the Giants stink. I go, no, they're finally getting an offensive-minded coach. Look what he just did with Allen. I'm like, Daniel Jones has talent. He just had an idiot who didn't know how to use it. And I'm not saying he went out as a world beater this year, but, dude, they went from a crap team to
11 wins, and they won a playoff game. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And not only that, because this is the area I think it hurt Josh Allen the most, is you saw it like in the Cincinnati playoff game for Josh Allen. When it comes to the little things, that's where he misses Brian Daboll the most.
Yep.
He had someone he could go back to the sidelines who had that 10,000 view from 10,000 feet that was like, let's back it up. Let's back it up. This is what I saw. This is what I saw you do. Work on this. This is when you see the defense do this.
Yes.
And he didn't have someone of that caliber last season.
100%. And my feeling now with the Bills, I love Josh Allen. I think he's a great quarterback. But his problem and the reason the Bills will never win is because he wants the home run play.
Yes.
Like he doesn't have the guy to work on the little things. And you know how many times in the games I'm like, dude, just check it down. Knox is wide open. Check it down. No,
Yes.
I'm going to fire it all the way down to Diggs.
Diggs 50 yards downfield.
Yeah. And every once in a while he catches it and it's a remarkable play. You're like, all right, there's world beaters, but you could have built up to something.
And the other thing is he has to stop running as much.
It's in his DNA.
I know it's in his DNA, but and I say that because you want to extend how dynamic you are as a player. And with the way that the Bills, they basically use him as a running back when he's not throwing the ball. And I understand he's a massive human being, but the NFL has shown it doesn't matter how big the hits add up. And at some point,
but the running will never stop
I
until
know.
they get a running back.
I know.
And I figured with Dalvin Cook, I'm like, oh,
I'm surprised he's not already there.
Like, perfect fit for Buffalo. I go, and that's a huge piece. But I don't know. I'm afraid he's going to go to the Patriots.